tale of Ununaki king has stood the test of time for decades, going back to the time when Gilgamesh ruled in ancient Mesopotamia. This discovery unveiled the mystery behind Graham Hancock's theories about ancient civilization. This could change everything in terms of what we know to be our ancient past timeline of events, people who lived back then, and the technology we thought was used back then. The discovery of the last Anunnaki king has once again stirred up the tale of bravery and cruelty. What exactly is the Epic of Gilgamesh, and what is its impact on the tale of history? Join us as we delve into the tale of ancient texts, unlocking mysteries that leave historians and scholars puzzled. The legend of the Giant King has been told and retold for centuries, and the discovery of the Giant King made waves that shook the entire planet. The discovery of the giants itself is huge, but one that is well preserved and still showing signs of life, despite being buried for ages, tells us there is more to ancient past events than what meets the eye. This discovery of the body of the Anunnaki king was completely made by chance. The mysterious find happened in Kurdistan, Iran. After discovery, the Iranian authorities were selective about information being released to the general public. This grand discovery was made during the foundation of a house. A mausoleum containing 3 coffins was found. After making more concise excavations, the remains of an ancient civilization and the ruins of a city were found in a layer of earth. Archaeologists determined that the monument and the city were built between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago. This is contradictory to the previous public release by the Iranian authorities. They stated that the ruins were 850 years old. That is obviously a lie, but we know the truth now. One of the 3 sarcophagi found in the mausoleum, substantial information is only available on 2 of them, while little is known about the 3rd, not about its content or who is inside. The only information available is based on mere assumptions and not facts. The 2 coffins with substantial information seem to be in a state of suspended animation. One wears a crown, which implies that he was probably the ruler of the city. He was buried alongside his sorcerer, leaving scientists to conclude that the 3rd sarcophagus must have contained his wife. One would expect to find some additional treasures to be buried alongside such an important figure. There are gold coins placed in the eyes of the king, which indicates a well-attested habit of antiquity. It can be observed that the body has Caucasian features, but with copper skin, and the 2nd individual sarcophagus shares these same characteristics. The king and the alleged sorcerer were adorned with gold and precious stones. Such is expected of someone with such a high social status. The ornaments found on the 2nd sarcophagus carry a cuneiform script that is not identifiable but can be translated. The script tells the name of the 2nd man found in the 2nd sarcophagus and his profession. On the other hand, the royal sarcophagus seems to be clothed with what seems like gold or metal, and near the monarch, a gold casket is seen to be encrusted with strange gems, similar to those found adorning a king. The newly discovered ancient tomb housing a giant king is enough to rewrite history and change everything we know about our ancient past and the technology we thought used back then. We are talking about a Nephilim king who was perfectly preserved and remains intact, only to be awakened when he was discovered. The eyes are still looking up with a glass-like appearance. The body is in good shape and the colored lights around the top of the sarcophagus are on. Archaeologists dated this discovery to have been in existence about 12,000 years ago, and evidence gathered by scientists suggests this king was kept biologically alive all through the period. Indeed, this speaks volumes about ancient civilization. Some scientists believe in certain theories revolving around ancient civilization. A prominent figure in the field is Graham Hancock. Hancock is an audacious, self-taught scientist who believes that long before ancient Babylonia, Mesopotamia, and Egypt, there existed an even more glorious civilization, one so thoroughly wiped out about 12,000 years ago that nearly all evidence of its existence has vanished, leaving only the faintest of traces. Hancock speculates that an advanced Ice Age civilization was destroyed in a cataclysm, but the survivors passed down their knowledge, giving rise to the earliest known civilizations. He argues that no matter how devastating an impact might be, are we to believe that ancient civilization does not exist because all evidence that speaks to its existence is almost erased? That is inconceivable, in Graham's words. This discovery is a testament to Hancock's belief. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem from ancient Mesopotamia. Since the earliest translations, the poem has been celebrated for its enduring relatability. Gilgamesh's struggle for peace and belonging, along with his restlessness, instinctive violence, and fear of death, gave the story a feel of timelessness. It is a tale of intimate friendship, loss, and grief. This ancient text appeals to our universal sense of fundamental humanity, even though its protagonist is 2/3 divine overlord from 4,600 years ago. Just like many cultures in ancient livelihood, mythologies are produced to explain the world around them. It is almost impossible to talk about the giants without mentioning the legendary Epic of Gilgamesh. Several versions of the epic poem exist, but the 12-tablet Akkadian version is best known. The story centers on the friendship between the principal characters, Gilgamesh and Enkidu. The Epic of Gilgamesh begins with an invitation to the reader to engage in the story of a great king who, at first, was depicted as a proud and arrogant tyrant. He terrorizes his people, sleeps with the brides of his subjects on their wedding night, and consistently uses force to get his way in all things. No one can stop him, since he is part divine and part molded by Mother Goddess Belitili. However, the gods heard the people's plea against him. In response, they created Enkidu as his rival. Unlike Gilgamesh, Enkidu was uncivilized at first. However, at a hunter's request, Gilgamesh sends out the temple prostitute, Shamhat, to have Enkidu tamed and civilized. Once Enkidu became civilized, Shamhat recounts Gilgamesh's tyranny and a series of Gilgamesh's dreams. These dreams are interpreted to mean that a comrade of equal stance will come to Gilgamesh and that Gilgamesh would need to seek out Enkidu and befriend him. Outraged by the stories he heard of Gilgamesh and his arrogance, Enkidu traveled down to Uruk to challenge him. On getting to Uruk, Enkidu stopped Gilgamesh from interfering with a wedding, and a fight ensued between the two in the street. Enkidu and Gilgamesh were considered an even match by the people, but after the epic battle, Enkidu was bested, and he freely accepted his defeat. The crossing of swords made the two remarkable individuals develop a special connection and became best of friends. Afterwards, they embarked on adventures together. To make his name immortal, Gilgamesh suggests that they travel to the cedar forest to kill the monster demon, Humbaba. Although Humbaba had not done anything wrong, and he is favored by the gods for his protection of the forest, this meant nothing to Gilgamesh. Once the two friends had defeated Humbaba, he cries out for mercy, but Enkidu insisted that he should be killed, so Gilgamesh slew him. The two returned to Uruk, where Gilgamesh prepared to celebrate his victory. The victory caught the attention of Ishtar, the goddess of sexual desire, and she made attempts to seduce Gilgamesh. Unfortunately, Gilgamesh rejected her, citing all the other men she had as lovers who ended their lives poorly. Enraged by the open embarrassment, Ishtar sent her brother-in-law, the Bull of Heaven, down to Earth to destroy the whole Uruk together with Gilgamesh. The two heroes joined forces once again and killed the bull, and Enkidu flings one of its legs at Ishtar in contempt. For this affront to a deity, as well as the cruelty to Humbaba, the goddess decreed that Enkidu had to die. For some time, Enkidu lingered in pain before giving up the ghost. The unfortunate event made Gilgamesh fall into deep grief. The death of his close friend became an eye-opener for Gilgamesh, and for the first time, he recognized his own mortality. He questioned the meaning of life and the value of human accomplishment in the face of extinction. Casting away all his old vanity and pride, Gilgamesh sets out on a quest to find the meaning of life and finally some way of defeating death. He travels far through the mountains and past the scorpion people, hoping to find Amnatishbim, the man who survived the Great Flood and was rewarded with immortality by the gods. At a point in his journey, he encountered a tavern keeper named Siduri, who told him his quest was in vain. He encouraged him to just accept life as it is and enjoy the pleasure it has to offer. Gilgamesh rejected the advice. He believed life is meaningless if one would eventually lose everything one loves and cares about. Siduri directed him to the ferryman Ushanabi, who took him across the waters of death to the home of Amnatishbin and his wife. After voicing out his desires, Amnatishbin stated that there was nothing he could do for him. Although he was granted immortality by the gods, he has no power to do the same for Gilgamesh. However, he offers the desperate king 2 chances at eternal life. First, he must show himself worthy by staying up for 6 days and nights. Gilgamesh failed the first test. Then he was given a magic lamp, which he lost in a moment of carelessness. While bathing, he left the flower on the shore and it got eaten by a snake. Having failed in his quest, he sadly returned to Uruk, where he wrote down his whole story on the city walls. As mentioned earlier, the Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest known epic or poem containing a story about heroes, gods, and monsters. From its inception, the story of a semi-divine warrior king like Gilgamesh has diffused throughout the Near East and nearby areas, including Greece. Its spread influenced several notable texts, including the Hebrew Bible and the Odyssey by Homer. In the Bible, there are parallels between the account of Genesis, about the story of Noah and the flood, and Amnatishbin's flood. In both stories, 2 men were given specific instructions by a deity to build a boat and sent out birds to see if flood water had receded. And when they landed, they gave offerings to the god that saved them. Due to the young age of the Genesis account and its scribal traditions, it is clear that the Noah account came after Amnatishbin's, and therefore the one found in the Epic of Gilgamesh has a direct influence on the Bible. In Homer's work, however, Gilgamesh's influence can be seen in the adventures of Odysseus in the Odyssey. Although the 2 heroes have different goals, they must travel through the unknown territories while overcoming supernatural beings. For example, while Odysseus blinded Polyphemus, the son of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon got enraged and created storms that ravaged Odysseus and his crew. This event parallels the slaying of Humaba because both Humaba and Polyphemus were monstrous beings priced by the gods, and injury to them meant disrespect towards the gods, and punishment was certain for the heroes involved. The case of Homer can be reasoned in the same way as the Hebrew Bible because Homer's writing came very much after the Epic of Gilgamesh, and there is material evidence of Gilgamesh being read in the Greco-Roman world. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a great story that has many layers to it. We learned about the overwhelming power of friendship and the king's failed quest for eternal life. What discovery did you find most fascinating? The discovery of the last Anunaki king's tomb, the Epic of Gilgamesh, or the impact of the Epic of Gilgamesh? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.